Hello again. Last week I said I might come back to what our liturgical actions mean this week, but I'm glad I said might, because actually I'm going to put that off for another time. Because things have changed this week, or things may or may not have changed. In England, our restrictions changed slightly yesterday, and that has a bearing on something I was thinking about. And that's the idea of lingering. I found going out for walks difficult over these last few weeks. I know that many people are staying at home completely because they're particularly vulnerable, but I'm lucky enough to be able to get out and about. And when I've been out and about, encounters with other people have sometimes been a bit strange. On the one hand, I've seen someone shouted at because someone else thought they got too close. But there also seems to have been more smiling, more greeting of each other going on, more saying thank you when someone has stepped out of the way to provide a bit more space. One thing I like to do when I'm out and about is photography. I've often taken a camera with me, and I've not been entirely comfortable about doing that, because we were supposed to be going out for exercise rather than for other purposes. It's been a very functional thing. It's about what you do, going out in order to do some exercise rather than for other purposes. It's been a very functional thing. And it's felt strange to combine it with something which I'm sure helps my mental well-being, but which nevertheless was not exercise as such. Some of you will know that I enjoy photographing the railway, and I've even managed to combine some of my exercise with interesting trains coming along the line out there. You see, I had a misspent youth as a train spotter. Or maybe it wasn't so misspent after all. It's changing a bit now with technological advances, but train spotting is one of those hobbies where you could plan a bit and think a bit, but in the end you just had to turn up and see what turned up, see what comes. And part of the joy of it was just being there, just existing, just living in that space. There would be long periods of not very much happening, and short bursts of excitement, short bursts of activity when something interesting turned up. And in that respect, it's a bit like Test cricket. It's a bit like fishing. There's something about patience, something about contemplation, about waiting for the event, something about simply being in the space. And photography can be very contemplative. It's changing a bit now too with technological advances, so it's easier and cheaper to fire off lots of shots here, there and everywhere. But often a good approach is to wait and to be in the space and see if the light comes just right. I had the opportunity to do some of that when I was away on the probationers retreat in February. I stood, I waited, and all the clouds cleared except the high one covering the sun. After about 20 minutes or so I had to move on, and it felt to me as if the message was that if we could really experience all the depths of love, it would be overwhelming, it would be too much. So for now it has to stay behind a thin high cloud. But when I moved on my way back to the main building, I did manage to get a decent shot of another empty open space. And it's that lingering, that waiting, which I've missed on my walks. And it's something which perhaps now we are allowed to do again. When our daily exercise is presented as something functional, something we do with a final aim in mind, it's not quite the same thing. When we can live with some contemplation, we can linger. We can be with no particular aim in mind, except perhaps seeing what being open to God might mean for us today. My in-laws moved house a few years ago, and I think it was the first time we went to visit, and we went to the nearest town to their new place, which is Horsham in Sussex. And I noticed the signs in the town had a slogan, as these things sometimes do. And it said, "Horsham, time well spent." Time well spent. There are some interesting metaphors built into the language that we use, built into the way our language works, and perhaps therefore built into the way we think about some things. And one of those metaphors is time is money. We spend money, and so we spend time. We can also save time. We can invest time. We can live on borrowed time. Time is money. But maybe instead of time well spent, I wonder if we might instead think about time well lived. Time well lived. I wonder whether we can linger today. Just linger and be open to God and see what comes of it. God bless. See you soon.